black thing go from left to right, and I thought, I'm going to die out here. No one's ever going to know.
I couldn't believe what my eyeballs were showing me. I'll never forget how evil the eyes were. It was horrible. I mean, I've never seen nothing that evil.
It ran towards me at a rate that I can't even explain. Turned and stared at me, and this look of, I just want to kill you. I want to say it was human, but it wasn't.
He was yelling at me to grab a gun, grab a gun. I was like, for what? He said, just grab a gun. And there's footprints all the way to the door of my house. It had went inside my garage, all the way to the door.
911, what are you reporting?
Jesus Christ, you better...
Sir?
See ya!
Hello?
Get somebody out here.
What's going on now, sir?
That son of a bitch is about 6'9", I don't know.
Do you see him now, sir?
Yes, I'm looking right at him.
Uh-oh.
You're listening to Sasquatch Chronicles. Check us out online at sasquatchchronicles.com. If you've had an encounter, email me. My email address is wes@sasquatchchronicles.com. Welcome to the show, everyone. Thanks for being here tonight, Sunday night. I love Sunday night. Thanks so much for listening tonight. Got an interesting encounter for you. I'll be speaking to Jonathan, and Jonathan shares an encounter that happened to him over 40 years ago when he was out playing. He lived out in the country and came face to face with one of these creatures. And if you're listening to this on SasquatchChronicles.com, below this episode, you can actually see the picture that Jonathan drew of what he saw that day. And what's interesting about what Jonathan saw that day is he saw the canines. It had canines sticking out of its mouth. And what's interesting about that is I've had people on in the past who've run into that type of creature where they have the huge canines sticking out outside of the mouth, and they're never good encounters. They're never good encounters. They're usually more aggressive, tend to be more violent type encounters, and I've had a couple of them on the show. What's different about Jonathan's encounter is the creature just kind of stood there and just looked at him and really didn't do anything. And it's just a fascinating encounter. That'll be coming up here shortly. If you've had an encounter and you'd like to be on the show, shoot me an email. My email address is wes@sasquatchchronicles.com. And I've been working hard on the new show, Monsters in the Shadows. I'm hoping to get a couple of them out to you guys this month. I think you guys are really going to like it. Hey, if you don't, that's okay. Don't listen to it. But I really think that you guys will enjoy this. It's the same type of concept as Sasquatch Chronicles, just with different type of creatures and broader topics. So I think you guys will really like it. Let's jump into it tonight. Jonathan, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
I was really interested in your encounter, so thank you so much again for being here tonight. For the audience, would you mind starting from the very beginning? Just tell us what you're out doing, and then just walk us into what happened.
Well, as most boys are when they're growing up, they've got tree houses and stuff like that. And generally, I had, of course, tree houses and stuff, but I had also had an idea when I was younger to kind of build a little underground fort, and was probably working on it for, I'd say, a couple weeks. And it was in the early spring when I had started to work on it. The ground was still kind of, a little bit of permafrost was still on the ground because this was in a northern Ohio location. And I dug one hole approximately, 4 foot by 6 foot by about 2.5 foot deep, believe it or not. And then I dug another hole right next to it, and then kind of dug a tunnel in between the two. And then had chopped down some of the small trees that were in the thicket that was right next to the fort, and put those down, and then put some plywood on top, and then covered it with some dirt and so forth, and then dug a main entrance to one of the larger holes. And it was probably about, 3 foot long, about 2 3 foot deep also. And I remember that it was on a Sunday afternoon. Actually, it was like Sunday, probably about 1 or 2 o'clock. And I was kind of going in and out of the hole, pulling dirt out and so forth, and having fun, like boys will do. And had been doing it for a while. I'd say I've been working on it for probably about an hour or so, hour and a half or something, and really didn't, hear anything or smell anything, didn't have any indications, and then had gotten out of the hole, the main hole that was going down into the fort, and started making it a little wider, and was reaching my hand down in there and scooping dirt out, and of course my head was in the hole and out the hole, and I had all of a sudden, out of the blue, just got a feeling that I was being watched. So I popped my head back out and basically stood up, and they just turned around. And when I turned around, I noticed immediately that to my right-hand side, about 10 foot away from me, there was this creature standing there. It really stunned me. And I stood there looking at it, and I couldn't figure out what it was. I literally stood there for quite some time. It had to be at least 10 minutes just looking at it. It was confusing me because it wasn't moving. I didn't smell any odor. It didn't blink. It seemed like it was a doll. It just seemed like it wasn't real. And my curiosity, of course, got the better of me. I guess I was kind of crazy at the time of what I had done. So I started walking towards it, and it was in the thicket that was right next to the fort, which was the beginning of the thicket was about 5 foot from the fort. And I had a little path that was in the thicket. Basically, it was right in front of me as I was standing, because I used to always go through that thicket. The thicket was about 15 feet wide, but it ran the length of the whole 5 acres. And on the opposite side of the thicket was nothing but, tall grass and so forth. And I had started walking towards it because I was like, well, is this real or isn't this real? I mean, am I seeing an illusion? Are these shadows? What is this? And I guess I got within I took about 4 or 5 steps and got within about 7, 8 foot. And then all of a sudden, it swayed to the left, and it swayed to the right, and it swayed back to the left. And when it did that, generally, all of a sudden, it struck me that it was real. And the fear of God pretty much hit me, and I just flat out turned around and just ran as quickly as I could back to the house, which was approximately, 75 yards from where the fort was, and hit the back porch. I went through the back door, ran up directly to my dad's office, and told my dad, of course, that, hey, Dad, there's this monster back there that's in the woods. And, and I was real shook up, but he just poo-hooed it, basically. He's, oh, okay, yeah, whatever, okay, Jonathan, okay. And I said, no, there is. No, Jonathan. So I said, okay, fine, all right. So, I went back down the stairs, went into my bedroom, and then sat on the bed for a few minutes, and, I was, well, did I really see that? Oh, okay, wait a minute. And since my bedroom faced basically that direction, and you could see the thicket, and